I tell you what we'll do. We'll be ready. We'll stand firm. We'll stand together. We'll fight him.
Hi folks, Captain Rutledge here. This summer, like most summers, I decided to experiment a little with some video ideas dancing around my head. Since doing a video on Redwall in 2018, I really wanted to talk more about the TV series, along with the original novels by Brian Jacques. So, I've decided to do something similar to what Dominic Noble does with his series Lost in Adaptation, namely, comparing a film or TV show to its original source material. The novel Redwall by Brian Jacques and its subsequent TV series lend themselves perfectly to this format. So, let's take a look.
I am that is. My sword shall wield for me.
Redwall was originally written by Brian Jacques as a story for children at a school for the blind in Liverpool, where he delivered milk on a daily basis. The novel was then published by Hutchison in 1986, and it became an instant bestseller, winning a few minor awards and being adapted into a graphic novel, TV series, and an opera, of all things. Not to mention the latest video game, Lost Legends of Redwall, currently available on Steam. I'll try to keep subjective here, despite growing up with the book series as a child. Firstly, the Redwall series is predominantly a story-driven saga, and as the books went along, you could tell that Jacques was rehashing many of his older stories. Although Jacques has stated that the books are solely the offshoot of his imagination, they do often align with tropes found in other fantasy works, namely the hero's journey, mystical artifacts, a pure evil aggressor, etc., but the language used in them is beautifully descriptive. While reading any of the novels, you can picture exactly what is going on in your head by the atmosphere Jacques sets up in his pen. The characters, too, are fun and memorable, especially Basil Staghair, Constance, and the purely villainous Clooney the Scourge. And don't get me started on the food. My advice to new readers of the series, do not pick up these books on an empty stomach. On the whole, though, while some readers may find his writing formulaic, Jacques does deliver fairly well on atmosphere and characters. The Redwall TV series was produced by Nelvana and Alphanim, and split the original novel into 13 episodes. The series delivers very well with great voice acting, music, and designs that look like they just leaped off the pages of the books, but the animation can be lackluster and lazy at times, and a few episodes of the series, which had nothing to do with the novels, slowed down the plot considerably from the novel. In the end, I can only recommend it to fans of the books or other fantasy buffs. Anyhow, time to talk adaptation, starting with what the screenwriters kept intact. The main plot of the book is kept in its entirety. Matthias, a novice at Redwall Abbey, wishes to become a great warrior like Martin, the Abbey's founder, but Abbot Mortimer, the father abbot of Redwall, reminds Matthias that Martin was nearly killed in battle and gave up fighting to found the Order of Woodlanders that currently inhabit Redwall. That day, Matthias helps Brother Alf catch a large fish for Abbot Mortimer's Jubilee feast, and after the feast volunteers to take the young mousemaid Cornflower and her family home, along with Constance, the Abbey Badgermum. While on the road, the Abbey dwellers come across a cartload of rats, led by a fearsome sea rat named Clooney the Scourge, on the road to Redwall. They quickly head back to warn Father Abbot just in time for Clooney to enter under a flag of parley. Clooney reads his articles of surrender to the Abbey dwellers, but Matthias, in a fit of rage, tears up the articles. Clooney is forced out, but he sends in his spy Shadow to steal a section of tapestry with Martin's picture on it. Shadow successfully steals the tapestry, but Matthias chases him until he ultimately falls off the Abbey wall to his death. With Martin's tapestry in hand, Clooney lays siege to Redwall, cutting off supplies and taking creatures hostage. Matthias successfully frees a family of Clooney's hostages with the help of Basil Staghair, a retired soldier, and returns to the Abbey. Meanwhile, Clooney and his horde try sneaking into the Abbey via a plank suspended from a tree, while others of his horde perform a diversionary attack on the Abbey walls. Constance notices and removes the plank, injuring Clooney in the process. Clooney seeks the help of a fox healer named Sella to attend his wounds, but Sella and her son Chickenhound double-cross him, leading to Sella's death. Meanwhile, at the Abbey, Matthias and the elderly record-keeper Methuselah find a poem behind where Martin's tapestry was, and with the help of the Abbey's four-mole, follow the clues to Martin's crypt, although his sword is nowhere to be seen in the crypt. They follow more clues to the Abbey weather vane, but find out that the Abbey sparrows stole the sword from the weather vane. While trying to return a wounded sparrow named Warbeak to her home in the Abbey rafters, and possibly find Martin's sword up there, Matthias is captured by their king, who orders Matthias' execution. Warbeak, out of gratitude for her rescue by Matthias, frees him and tells him that a serpent named Asmodeus took Martin's sword. Matthias' escape is halted by the Sparrow King, but both fall out of the Abbey rafters to the Abbey pond, where the king drowns and Matthias is taken to the Abbey infirmary. Meanwhile, Basil and Jess Squirrel hatch a plan to steal back Martin's tapestry, using a dishcloth as a decoy. Chickenhound makes his way to Redwall, but Methuselah catches him stealing silverware. The fox then hits Methuselah over the head with his lute and escapes the Abbey, only to be bitten by Asmodeus the serpent. Methuselah dies from his wounds, leading Matthias to continue the search for Martin's sword alone. Matthias asks Basil what he knows of Asmodeus, and Basil suggests he visit an owl named Captain Snow. While Clooney continues to lay siege to Redwall, Matthias sneaks out to find Captain Snow with the help of local shrews called the Gowsm. He searches Snow's old barn, only to find out his former friend Squire Julian Gingervere kicked him out due to bad table manners. Matthias finds Snow in a tree, and Snow divulges Asmodeus' location. The Gowsm shrews and their leader Logolog take Matthias to the old quarry and Asmodeus' lair. Matthias and Logolog find Martin's sword, but get caught by Asmodeus. Martin's spirit, though, calls out to Matthias, and the mouse beheads the serpent. However, while Matthias was absent, Clooney managed to get into Redwall Abbey by extorting a dormouse named Plumpin, and takes all the occupants hostage. As Clooney starts to pass punishment onto the Abbey dwellers, Matthias returns, along with the Gowsm and Warbeak's Sparrow army. Clooney believes Matthias to be a mouse he had been seeing in his dreams, and runs in terror, only to later see it's just Matthias. Clooney and Matthias wage battle in the Abbey bell tower, but Matthias is unable to best Clooney. In the end, he cuts loose the large Joseph bell, effectively killing Clooney and ending his horde's occupancy of the Abbey. Abbot Mortimer, though, is killed during the battle, and on his deathbed allows Matthias and Cornflower to marry, along with appointing Matthias as a new Abbey warrior. Most of the Redwallers' defense strategies are copied verbatim from the book, including pouring boiling water down one of Clooney's siege tunnels, constructing a crossbow meant to assassinate Clooney, but instead killing a subordinate cheese thief, tossing a barrel of angry hornets onto Clooney's forces, and Cornflower destroying Clooney's siege tower with a pot of vegetable soup and a lantern. We also see Clooney suffering from night terrors like in the book, seeing a grim-looking mouse wielding a sword that strikes him down, along with a later dream where his deceased officers haunt him, along with the former mouse. What's more, Captain Snow's oath to give up eating mice and shrews should Matthias slay Asmodeus is true to the book, including his eventual reunion with Squire Julian, almost copied verbatim from the pages. And the characters take on a lot of their book counterpart descriptions, especially Clooney, from his eye patch to the poisoned barb on his tail. But then again, this is a TV series, so liberties must be taken. Here is what they changed. A significant part of the novel's plot was altered in order to accommodate the 13-episode format. A lot of events had their chronologies altered and so departed greatly from the original story arc. For example, when Basil and Jess go to retrieve Martin's tapestry, it occurs while Matthias is imprisoned by the Sparrow in the novel, and Methuselah is still living, and as such is the one who reattaches Martin to the Abbey tapestry. All the while, Matthias is still imprisoned by the Sparrow. In the TV series, we see Sella and Chickenhound trying to hand off Clooney's battle plans to the Redwallers, only for Clooney to reveal their fakes. Sella and Chickenhound then steal valuables from the Great Hall, only to be caught by Methuselah, whom Chickenhound knocks out with their bag of swag, Matthias is able to catch Sella, but Chickenhound escapes. The Redwallers eventually let Sella go, and she is executed by Clooney's horde. Methuselah makes a slight recovery from his blow, but dies a few episodes later. In the novel, Chickenhound and Sella make a correspondence with the Abbey regarding Clooney's battle plans, but Clooney finds this out and has his horde spear them and leave their bodies in a ditch. Sella dies, but Chickenhound staggers to Redwall and reveals Clooney's plans. Friar Hugo catches him stealing, and Methuselah tries to halt his escape, but dies after Chickenhound's sack of loot knocks him on the head. Of course, Matthias was still imprisoned by the Spara during these events. In the TV series, there is a lengthy gap between Matthias visiting Captain Snow and retrieving Martin's sword, possibly to accommodate him into more episodes set at Redwall Abbey. In the novel, he straight up leaves on his quest, with the Abbey's defense left in the hands of Constance, Basil, and the other Redwallers. The final battle between Matthias and Clooney has the former wearing Martin's armor, but in the novel, Matthias only wore his Abbey robes and Martin's belt. In the TV series, Clooney feebly disguises himself as he and Darkclaw read their terms, concealing a few weapons for added insurance. The novel has Clooney show up in full armor, with his whole horde, but the Redwallers wisely ensure that he and Redtooth leave their weapons and armor behind before entering the Abbey, even forcing Clooney to remove his poisoned tailspike, which they forgot to do in the TV series. The TV series also depicts Redwall as having a standing army, while the novel shows their defenseless amateurs undergoing training from Constance, Basil, and Matthias. Martin's spirit in the TV series is more communicative with Matthias, while in the novel he just communicates to Matthias when his tapestry is being stolen and when Matthias battles Asmodeus. Character-wise, many key novel characters had reduced roles in the TV series, including Brother Alf, Silent Sam, Friar Hugo, and a number of Clooney's horde. Cornflower's role is significantly expanded, most likely in order to have a token female in the series. Her family is slightly changed, though. In the novel, her parents are Mr. and Mrs. Fieldmouse. The TV series has her parents be Mr. and Mrs. John Churchmouse, a decision that would cause a few bumps down the road. When Clooney takes her hostage in the TV series' final act, the novel instead had Clooney take Friar Hugo hostage. The Galsum in the series are portrayed as gypsy vagabonds, while in the novel they're more based off the dock workers Jacques knew when he lived in Liverpool. Abbot Mortimer has a larger character change from the novel. In the novel, he is prepared to defend the Abbey no matter the cost. He's strict but fair. But the TV series has him more hesitant and weak, reluctant to take any action that would cost lives. Of course, in the end, he does take part in the final battle.
Sorry. Forgive me.
The cause of his death is not shown in the series, although the book states it was due to Clooney lashing him in the back with a poisoned barb on his tail. With all these changes, the writers decided to add a few more things as well. The episodes of Clooney's Clowns, The Visitor, and A Favor Returned were all added to pad out the series' runtime. Furthermore, the episode Underground was added to show how Matthias escaped Asmodeus' lair, which wasn't delved into much in the novel. In the novel, Abbot Mortimer says Matthias arrived one day on the Abbey doorsteps. The TV series gives him a whole backstory, with Clooney destroying his village and murdering his family when he was still young, and his sister Myrtle carrying him to Redwall until she eventually died of exhaustion, leaving Matthias alone in the world and the Abbey life his only alternative. It adds extensively to Matthias' character, especially his motivation to fight against Clooney and all he stands for. That's only a brief rundown of what was added. Now, for what was left out altogether. With everything added, a good bit was also removed. Originally, Ambrose Spike is the one who sends news of the Vole family's capture, as he was the one escorting them home. He gets seriously wounded while fending off Clooney's soldiers, but he pulls through nonetheless. While Matthias goes to recover the Vole family with Basil's help, it is then that he meets Silent Sam and Jess Squirrel. Silent Sam is the one who helps him return to Redwall Abbey. Sam also points out Chickenhound's arrival at Redwall, and serves as self-appointed bodyguard to Cornflower while she serves food to the Abbey defenders. When Matthias recovers from his wounds after the fight with King Bolspera, he learns of Methuselah's death and becomes completely despondent, like in the TV series. But the novel has a few choice words from Basil cheering him out of his depression, and a dream of Methuselah gives him the motivation to continue the search for Martin's sword. A large number of characters from the book are omitted from the TV series, including brothers Anthony, George, and Rufus, an infant Tim and Tess Churchmouse, and Cornflower's parents, Mr. and Mrs. Fieldmouse. The character of the beaver is entirely omitted from the story, along with him helping Constance use the large crossbow to assassinate Clooney, albeit unwittingly only killing Cheese Thief. Although the Gauza maintain their democratic nature as seen in the TV series, the novel also has them debating in turn through use of a black speaking stone. Many of the fates of Clooney's horde are decidedly left out of the TV series for reasons that won't traumatize kids. Redtooth was beaten by Constance while trying to find Sella, and he was eaten by Asmodeus. Scrag was outright suffocated by Cheese Thief after the plank attack, and Kilkenny was used by Clooney as a shield during his battle with Matthias, and he was cut in half by Martin's sword. As for the Dormouse Plumpin, who was forced into opening the Abbey gates for Clooney, the novel's epilogue states that he and his family survived the final battle, and apparently there were no hard feelings between him and the Redwallers over his actions. He even helps Formol dig a cooking pit for Abbot Alf's Jubilee feast. So, final thoughts. I can get some changes being added for narrative purposes, i.e. Matthias' backstory and less gruesome deaths for certain characters, but other changes tend to hamper the storyline and slow things down considerably. On the whole, though, I can't be too upset with these changes, but I still say the original novel told a better story. Well, that about wraps it up for this episode. Thank you to everybody for watching, and I hope you enjoyed it. If so, feel free to like, subscribe, and share, ring the bell, leave a comment below, and follow on Twitter. I hope to do more of these episodes in the future, so stay tuned for more. Until next time, I'm Captain Rutledge. Good day.
Postscript. Please be sure to visit us. If ever you are passing Redwall, the roses have bloomed early this season.